That's so stupid. That's so stupid. I could conceivably do that. Yeah, no. Okay. We could give that a try if we really wanted to. We could definitely check that out. If I were to legitimately do this as a makeup channel, I would try Hollywood special effects style makeup because I don't need to be more beautiful than I already am. Um, okay, yeah, just in a goofy mood. Just thought it'd be fun to goof around. It is, after all, April Fool's Day. Anyway, honestly, we could have some fun doing some weird experiments on here too. I could do. Hey, that's as much as it's a stupid idea, we could have some fun with that. Like, if I were to do a book review of a fantasy or a science fiction setting, and then do makeup as a character creative prompt. So, like, do a short video where I do the whole makeup and design outfit of making a character visibly done, and then that is the proposed character. It's basically it would be reading a book or watching a movie or playing a game where they introduce characters of a alien or fantasy race or whatever, and then I could then do a follow-up creative response for a creative prompt for creating a character for a story where I pose as the character, sort of like a dating app almost. Like, I like long walks on the beach, eating elephant tusks. Um, that would be funny. That would be fun to play around with. Maybe I'll do that for a future April Fool's Day. I could imagine doing something like that maybe for April Fool's Day. I've thought about some of the other things about doing creative projects on this channel. Like we talked about once before, rewriting some of the Star Wars movies and shooting them as like installments to basically reshoot them in some way with puppets or miniatures or animations or things like that. Like, I guess I could probably still do that kind of stuff on here. Probably not as often as I do the other things. Like, the reviews are just, an easier format. Now, thinking about the reviews timeline, I think I'm just gonna wing it and see what kind of. I do think that people appreciate more having a regular schedule. And so there's a part of me that wants to build a schedule and stick to that schedule because it's predictable. Like, if you're interested in the book stuff, then you would wait and want to see every second Tuesday of the month be a book review day, rather than have it randomly occurring throughout a 2-month to 5-month period of time. So I do think there's some measure of predictability being valuable to a viewer. Again, but are we building a viewership or are we building a community? And is there a difference? And is it important to cater to one rather than the other? I don't know. Like, I'm kind of new at this idea of trying to make something of the channel. it's not really something I was ever really pursuing aggressively, and so I'm not sure what the correct treatment for stuff would be. Like, I guess it really comes down to the question of like, am I looking to do like the different channels that I have already? I already have a lot of stuff on my lap, but the different kinds of channels I have, Opportunity Forge out of all of them is most likely to be the one where I start to try to actually run a channel. I feel like this one should be more about gathering a group of creative peoples and giving each other support and inspiration. And that's, I think the distinction between the two for me in my head is if we end up with 500 to 600 regular viewers here or participants on this channel, that's fine. Like if we never get past the 1,000 viewer marker, that's fine on this channel. Opportunity Forge, I'm aiming more for an actual channel with an audience. So I think that's the real distinction behind that. And I think there's a big difference between what you're doing for one type of channel versus the other. So thinking about going forward into Opportunity Forge, that one, there are very distinctive patterns of how you produce, create, and cultivate that sort of content. Whereas this one, this feels more, and I've thought about for a little while back and forth about whether or not there's a different feel to like a Facebook video series versus a YouTube video series. Because Facebook video seems more to me to be more about friendships and community communication. Whereas YouTube is a little bit more like, it's more like a cable news network, or like, I almost feel like YouTube is the new public broadcasting channel. Like in the big city neighboring the one I live in, there is a public broadcasting station that you can go into, and you can rent time on the local TV networks to put up a show. And there are some people who have very quirky, simple shows where it's like an older guy who does it's been a long time. I knew some people who did some of that stuff. I've been in that station a couple times for some activism stuff that I did a while back. But the like they will literally let pretty much anybody get on there and do whatever show they want to do, and they can allot you a chunk of time if you want to do it. And I mean, I think the only real thing on there is don't do anything that would require censors to get involved. And that's the limit. And I feel to a certain degree that YouTube has sort of become that sort of thing, but not on a local community network, but full on worldwide internet. And so I feel like that's almost a little bit more of what I went for with things I've done so far, like I feel like that's what I did with Roving Jack mostly. This one has been a little bit more of a not sure what I'm doing with it when I'm doing it. I've thought about this channel as being sort of a means of like friends and communities that I'm a member of, where we're sort of spread out so far that we can't really do much. And there are some things that are just easier to communicate via video. And I feel like that was sort of what I was doing when I started. I feel like I never really had it any real clarity on how I was playing with this channel. But I mean, I'm okay with most of that being the case. I do think going forward, what I'd like to be able to do is, with this channel, get some of my artist friends together, find some new people who are interested in those same topics, get some of my writers and movie nerds and that type of thing to come together and just brainstorm ideas together and share what we've created, kind of thing. But I the reviews was something that I thought was like, that's a possibility of doing like a book club, only it's for movies, books, games, those kinds of things. But it's also an excuse for me to journal out loud, where I can go through these things that I've not had the chance to explore before and share my thoughts and ideas about them, but also make an inventory of ideas that I might get around to do something with. So like the rewrites of pop culture that we did earlier in the year. Or was that last year? I can't even remember anymore what year we're running on. I think that was last year, 2020. Yeah. We did pop culture breakdowns and rebuilds and remixes. And the thing is, I used to keep a written journal for some of those ideas. And I've got a boatload of them. I could just as easily do that sort of stuff just for myself and not share it with anybody. But for me, half the fun was the idea that I've experienced in certain writing groups that I'm a member of, where if somebody proposed a theme for the week, we'd all work on some writing project related to the theme. And then we'd come back the next week and share that off with each other and see what each other have made from the same idea. And that was fun. And I want to do that. I feel like I want to see if I can cultivate some kind of sense of that into this channel. So that would be a little bit more like I can remember years ago on DeviantArt. I was a member of a group on DeviantArt where every week somebody would propose a new theme, like doorways or leaves or borders or things like that. And that was just like the proposal. That's what we're talking. That's what the project is for this. I can't remember if it was every 2 weeks or every week or every month, and we did that for a while. And then we'd come back and share what we created and sort of enjoy what everybody's ideas were from that prompt. And I feel like what I'm trying to do, where I'm trying to get my head to get into the space of doing it with this channel, is the reviews of things are one thing. So again, reviewing Jim Butcher's Stormfront is a review of the book as a sort of a reminder for me as I go through my giant collection of to be read, to be played, to be watched stuff. As I go through that giant collection of stuff that I want to explore and learn, because there's a lot of stuff I'm far behind. I have not seen The Mandalorian. I have not seen The Boys, which was a series on Netflix, I think. I have not seen any of the Marvel TV series, WandaVision or what is it, Falcon and Winter Soldier or whatever. I've not seen Star Wars Rebels. I've not seen like half a dozen of things that are pop culture. I have not seen Game of Thrones, and I'm not super inclined to go see it. But if people really want to talk about that, then maybe I'd do it. But I don't have a lot of drive to go watch that. But I can definitely watch some of these things. You know, I'm late to the party on a lot of it, but I can watch some of those things and then do what we did with the pop culture, you know, Toy Story, Gremlins, those things that we broke down, disassembled into their constituent parts and reassembled into new ideas. Like, I could totally see that as the sort of mode that we do this in, but breaking it down into the review one for one, and then each individual creative prompt inspired by it following it. Now, I'm a little torn and I'm a little uncertain as to what degree do we pursue building a group to work with in this community. Because, I mean, I'm sure if I pulled up WandaVision, if I pulled up The Mandalorian and just started watching those, reviewing episodes of those, and then following those up with breaking them down and coming up with new ideas inspired by them, I'm sure we could probably draw in a bunch of new people as viewers. But that's not really what I want. I don't want an audience here so much. I want people who can look at some of my ideas and say, like, I don't necessarily agree with that, but here's one idea I'm going to try to do something with, and then create something that's like a rebuild of what I've rebuilt from somebody else's inspirations. You know, I would love for this channel to have a couple dozen people who are just sort of there and like, I'm a comic artist and I'm not sure what I'm going to do for my next work, but I like to see what ideas are being generated here. And every now and then there's one where I'll draw a short comic because it sort of catches my idea, catches my thinking as we sit here and talk about things. That's what I want more of. That's what this channel's supposed to be, as far as I'm concerned. That's what this channel is. I just haven't. I don't think I figured out the right way to do it yet, and I don't know that has as much reach, and that's fine. It doesn't have to reach a huge audience, and it doesn't have to have a lot of potential to it. But I do think it would be a lot of fun to get a network of creative people like that together and creating new and interesting ideas. And like maybe you're an artist, a painter, a visual artist of some kind, and if we were to do like the examples that I've used in the past, where we take something like the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, I'd do a review, and then I'd come up with the ideas inspired by them, and one of them would be the Raven Sisters. I would literally just do a follow up of the review with a short where I introduced the idea of the three sisters and their origin story. And if you're a visual artist, you may not want to do like a web comic or anything based off of them, but you could do a piece of fan art or a character sketch, just as like a practice. Playing with each other's ideas is really the goal. And maybe nothing occurs to you for that one. Maybe it's the story idea of, what was it, Gremlins, where somebody manages to create a familiar, I think was one of the ideas, where they bring about a being that embodies a piece of their soul, and that piece of their soul breaks free and starts summoning other creatures from within the first person, slowly whittling them down into a shard of them, their former self, and trying to recapture and rebond with the pieces that have been extracted from him. Like, maybe that's the story that inspires a creative person, and maybe it inspires a poet rather than a visual artist, or a sculptor who maybe sculpts an action figure based off of the character designs. To me, that would be the ultimate goal with this channel. Not getting an audience of 100,000 viewers to get a play button or something like that. That's not what I want to do here. Now, could I do that with Opportunity Forge? That's what I'm curious about. Like, if I went into this YouTube thing to be a YouTuber, what would, should, and could I do? And that's a little bit more of what I want to do with the Opportunity Forge. But where in, well, I guess part of the question that is centered around is, it's one thing to kind of know that that's sort of what I want to do with this channel, but in structuring what I do with this channel, how much structure is necessary? And where in that structure do we leave room for? I mean, I'll probably still always do these live rambles that I do, but where in that is room for the, like, if I make a movie, like in July is Independent Film Project Month. So if I make an independent film, do I show it in here? And where does that fit in with the rest of what I'm doing? If I switch over to a model of review and then creative prompts inspired by the thing we reviewed, and then review and then creative prompts, where in that category do we fit the ideas of like the independent films I might make? Or if I do something with some of my ideas, like if I can get together with a comic book artist and we do a comic inspired by the Raven Sisters story idea, if we do that one, do we introduce it or share it here? If if I do a puppet show version of a reshoot of Star Wars, do I do that here? And if so, like in what format? Is that just something I'll randomly chunk in? Is that something that we set up at a certain point in the year? Are there certain days that we should do that? Like, I feel like it'll be a little weird, but I think I can probably just drop those on the channel whenever I feel like it. And it won't necessarily have to be part of the regularly scheduled programming. It'll be a special surprise every now and then when I do something like that, if I get around to doing stuff like that. I mean, it's a big question. I mean, I guess it depends on how the rest of everything else is going in my life at that time, I guess. But the possibility of this being a channel where I can drop some of my creative stuff. It's not just generating the ideas or talking about the ideas, but actually putting some of those out. And I suppose I could do readings of some of the writing that I might do. So I could do like a live reading of an excerpt from a work that I'm working on. I suppose I could do that. Where would we chunk that in the rest of the time scale? So if we're building this around the idea of, and this is just, I'm probably going to call it at about 35 minutes tonight, so we got a little time left, but I'm just spitballing here right now. But if we were to do this, that's Opportunity Forge. If we were supposed to do inspired content, we'd have the reviews, the prompts, and then live streams, and then special projects. I don't know when would we, like, how many of those would we get done in a year? How would we share them? What kind of format would we use for those videos? Special presentation. And I feel like if this gets an audience, if this is something we end up getting a group of creatives together on at a certain point here, then I almost feel like a special presentation would be more like the premiere videos, where it's a sort of a pre-recorded, but it's set up to be released at a certain point, and then I can join in the chat on the side. But I think some of these live streams at night might end up being sort of like maybe one per month can be set up. Well, I mean, I guess anybody can join any live stream at any time. It's not a special requirement, but I think we could probably get some of the people gathering together on a regular basis, brainstorming ideas together just for the giggles and ideas. And if we get to a point where I can use the community tab a little bit more, I think it would be fun to be able to share what projects we've all worked on, and we can see what other people in the community created. I think it's ambitious, and I don't know that this channel has the ability to build to that level, but it would be cool if we could. So I mean, to a certain degree, that there is a little bit of the joke on the front of this one that was I'm making a makeup channel or whatever. But I mean, I could do a bit of a goof fun with that sort of thing every now and then if we wanted to do costuming and goofing around. I'm not opposed to that. But I do think if we can't get a community, if we can't get enough of a base to do community interactions, I may see about expanding into the Facebook, Twitter, Reddit area to engage with more interaction than just my video feed. So for creating prompts and seeing what everybody's working on and sharing those ideas, that I can see being something that maybe I do on like a Reddit or a Twitter or even Facebook page. Because again, I don't need this channel to be 100,000 subscribers. That's not the goal of this channel. That's Opportunity Forge. Now, if we make the charge on that channel for a couple thousand subscribers, what was it? 60,000, 0 to 60,000? Can we do it? I don't know. I'm thinking that's actually going to be more of a 0 to 60 weeks. How far can we get? So that's mostly what's going on tonight. I don't know if that was what I was supposed to talk about tonight, but I realized before I came on here tonight that it was April Fool's Day. So I couldn't think of anything less lame than the stupid one of what I might do to change this channel going forward. That's some brainstorming as we go through it tonight. What do you think we should talk about next time? I think I'm looking at what's today. Today is Thursday, Friday-ish. Thursday. Next video goes up on, next live stream is Sunday. Don't hold me to it, but I'm hoping Monday to do the first short review of a book. The Monday the 12th, I think I'm going to do a movie. 19th, I may do a video game. And then the 26th, I may do a board game. Because we're in April, and I believe Mother's Day is May 9th, right? Or May something or other. And I think what that should lead up to is Mother's Day is coming up. I do think I should also start uploading my Easter taste test videos that I did last year that didn't go up because pandemic hit and we all just had nervous breakdowns. So I should also start uploading those too. I will do a few of those as dailies, and then my short reviews of the book, and then creative prompts inspired by the book this coming week. Again, don't start any projects on April Fool's Day. You just got to give it a little time. So I'm giving everything a little bit of time before we get there. First Opportunity Forge video should be the introduction to the channel on the 7th, I believe is what we decided, yeah. And from there, I think it's going to be a video, at least for the first few days each. So a video setting up each of the projects that we're going to do on that channel. And if I'm really productive and useful, I will have edited and uploaded some videos to Roping Jack of the next stop along my tour of makerspaces. So I think that's the plan for going forward. For now, I'm going to say take care and happy April Fools. Hope nobody got you with a nasty gig. Yeah, it was something. Like, I haven't had a good April Fool's joke in a long while. Like, everybody's always so sensitive. Don't make a fool of me kind of stuff. And I just can't do anything anymore. I just can't figure out what's okay to do. But that one was goofing around. Thought it would be kind of fun. All right. I will see you on Sunday, I guess. Until then, take care. Good night.